Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to day 18 of our Bhakti Vaibhava seminar on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6. And today we're going on to chapter 9. Chapter 9 of the 6th canto. But first of all, let us chant our prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastutyade Shatarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Pramanityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, so devotees, Bhakti Vaibhava, Canto 6 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is titled, Appearance of the Demon Vritrasura. And in his introductory notes, Srila Prabhupada says, as described in this chapter, Indra, the king of heaven, killed Vishvarup, and therefore Vishvarup's father performed a yajna to kill Indra. When Vritrasura appeared from that yajna, the demigods in fear sought shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and glorified him. So there are 55 verses here, 8 sections. First section, from verse 1 to verse 3, we call Vishvarup and his 3 heads. Then second section, verse 4 to verse 10, Indra beheads Vishvarup and gets reactions. 3, verse 11 to verse 19, Vritrasura produced for revenge on Indra. Fourth section, verse 20 to 27, the demigods pray to the Lord. 5, verse 28 to verse 30, the Lord appears to the demigods. Section 6, verse 31 to verse 45, the demigods pray further to the Lord. Section 7, verse 46 to verse 50, the Lord speaks to the demigods. Section 8, verse 51 to 55, the Lord tells Indra to approach Dadichi. Yes, so it's an interesting chapter. Let us begin with the first section, verse 1 to verse 3. Vishvarup and his 3 heads. So, I think we'll just read through. There's 2 short purports, one very short, and the other verse has no purport. So let's just read through. So verse 1, Sri Shukadev Goswami continued, Vishvarup, who was engaged as the priest of the demigods, had 3 heads. He used one to drink the beverage somarasa, another to drink wine, and the third to eat food. O King Parikshit, thus I have heard from authorities. Right, so short purport. We haven't heard of people like this, have we? With 3 heads and like this. So, yeah, we can't perceive heavenly planets, their inhabitants. We can't go there. Our scientists can't even really go to the moon. So by direct experience, we can't learn anything beyond what we perceive. And we don't perceive people like Vishvarup. So what to do? We have to hear from reliable authorities. And Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, therefore Shukadev Goswami, a great personality, says, what I'm describing to you, O king, is what I've heard from authoritative sources. This is the Vedic system. The Vedic knowledge is called Shruti because it is received by being heard from authorities. It is beyond the realm of our false, experimental knowledge. Verse 2. O Maharaj Parikshit, the demigods were related to Vishvarup from his father's side, and therefore he visibly offered clarified butter in the fire, while chanting mantras such as Indraya Idam Swaha. This is meant for King Indra, and Idam Agnaye. This is for the demigod of fire, Agni. He loudly chanted these mantras and offered each of the demigods his proper share. Verse 3. Although offering clarified butter in the sacrificial fire in the name of the demigods, without the knowledge of the demigods, he also offered oblations to the demons, because they were his relatives through his mother. And very short purport, because of Vishvarup's affection for the families of both the demigods and the demons, he appeased the Supreme Lord on behalf of both dynasties. When he offered oblations in the fire on behalf of the Asuras, he did so secretly, without the knowledge of the demigods. Yes, so section 2, from verse 3 to verse 10, Indra beheads Vishvarup and gets reactions. And now, there's 8 verses here, but there's very, very few purports. There's 3 actually, and each one of them is just a couple, 2 or 3 sentences. So we're just going to read straight through again. Verse 4. Once upon a time, however, the king of heaven, Indra, understood that Vishvarup was secretly cheating the demigods by offering oblations on behalf of the demons. He became extremely afraid of being defeated by the demons, and in great anger at Vishvarup, he cut Vishvarup's 3 heads from his shoulders. Hare Krishna. Verse 5. Thereafter the head meant for drinking soma rasa was transformed into a kapinjala, a francolin partridge. Similarly, the head meant for drinking wine was transformed into a kalavinka, a sparrow, and the head meant for eating food became a titiri, a common partridge. Verse 6. Although Indra was so powerful that he could neutralize the sinful reactions for killing a Brahmin, he repentantly accepted the burden of these reactions with folded hands. He suffered for 1 year, and then to purify himself, he distributed the reactions for this sinful killing among the earth, water, trees, and women. Verse 7. In return for King Indra's benediction that ditches in the earth would be filled automatically, the land accepted 1/4 of the sinful reactions for killing a Brahmin. Because of those sinful reactions, we find many deserts on the surface of the earth. Yes, okay, so there's short purport here. Because deserts are manifestations of the earth's diseased condition, no auspicious ritualistic ceremony can be performed in a desert. Persons destined to live in deserts are understood to be sharing the reactions for the sin of Brahmahatya the killing of a Brahmin. Verse 8. In return for Indra's benediction that their branches and twigs would grow back when trimmed, the trees accepted 1/4 of the reactions for killing a Brahmin. These reactions are visible in the flowing of sap from trees. And Prabhupada makes a note, therefore one is forbidden to drink this sap. Okay. Yeah, okay. Verse 9. In return for Lord Indra's benediction that they would be able to enjoy lusty desires continuously, even during pregnancy, for as long as sex is not injurious to the embryo, women accepted 1/4 of the sinful reactions. As a result of those reactions, women manifest the signs of menstruation every month. So, purport from Srila Prabhupada, women as a class are very lusty, and apparently their continuous lusty desires are never satisfied. In return for Lord Indra's benediction that there would be no cessation to their lusty desires, women accepted 1/4 of the sinful reactions for killing a Brahmin. Verse 10. And in return for King Indra's benediction that water would increase the volume of other substances with which it was mixed, water accepted 1/4 of the sinful reactions. Therefore there are bubbles and foam in water. When one collects water, these should be avoided. Right. So there's also a very short purport here. It looks like 2 or 3 sentences. If water is mixed with milk, fruit juice, or other similar substances, it increases their volume, and no one can understand which has increased. In return for this benediction, water accepted 1/4 of Indra's sinful reactions. These sinful reactions are visible in foam and bubbles. Therefore, one should avoid foam and bubbles while collecting drinking water. Okay. Right, so section 3, verse 11 to verse 19, Vritrasura produced for revenge on Indra. Yes, so again, let's just have a look here. You know, it's the same situation. Very little in the way of purports. So we are just going to read through again. After Vishvarup was killed, his father, Twashta, performed ritualistic ceremonies to kill Indra. He offered oblations in the sacrificial fire, saying, O enemy of Indra, flourish to kill your enemy without delay. So Srila Prabhupada, I'll just read his purport. There was some defect in Twashta's chanting of the mantra because he chanted it long instead of short, and therefore the meaning changed. Twashta intended to chant the word Indra Shatro, O enemy of Indra. In this mantra, the word Indra is in the possessive case, Shashti, that's a genitive case in English, generally, and the word Indra Shatro is called a Tatpurusha compound, Tatpurusha Samas. Unfortunately, instead of chanting the mantra short, Twashta chanted it long, and its meaning changed from the enemy of Indra to Indra, who is an enemy. Consequently, instead of an enemy of Indra's, there emerged the body of Vritrasura, of whom Indra was the enemy. And, this use of the term enemy, Indra who is an enemy, or who is an enemy of Indra, this is all it's technical Sanskrit in one sense. Indra Shatro as opposed to Indra Shatraho, which is the long form. Anyway, it's a very interesting point. Very interesting point. Verse 12. Thereafter, from the southern side of the sacrificial fire, known as Anvaharya, came a fearful personality who looked like the destroyer of the entire creation at the end of the millennium. Verses 13 to 17. Like arrows released in the four directions, the demon's body grew day after day. Tall and blackish, he appeared like a burnt hill, and was as lustrous as a bright array of clouds in the evening. The hair on the demon's body and his beard and moustache were the color of melted copper, and his eyes were piercing like the midday sun. He appeared unconquerable, as if holding the three worlds on the points of his blazing trident. Dancing and shouting with a loud voice, he made the entire surface of the earth tremble, as if from an earthquake. As he yawned again and again, he seemed to be trying to swallow the whole sky with his mouth, which was as deep as a cave. He seemed to be licking up all the stars in the sky with his tongue and eating the entire universe with his long, sharp teeth. Seeing this gigantic demon, everyone in great fear ran here and there in all directions. Verse 18, that very fearful demon, who was actually the son of Twashta, covered all the planetary systems by dint of austerity. Therefore he was named Vritra, or one who covers everything. That's very interesting. And there is a one-sentence purport here. In the Vedas it is said, Sa imal lokam avrino tad vritasya vritatvam. Because the demon covered all the planetary systems, his name was Vritrasura. 19. The demigods headed by Indra charged the demon with their soldiers, striking him with their own transcendental bows and arrows and other weapons. But Vritrasura swallowed all their weapons. So on we go to the fourth section, devotees, and it's from verse 20 to verse 27, and we call it, The Demigods Pray to the Lord. And, well, yeah, there's more purport here. So we'll do the usual thing. We'll read the verses and come back and go through them again with the purports. So verse 20 to 27, the demigods pray to the Lord. Verse 20, struck with wonder and disappointment upon seeing the strength of the demon, the demigods lost their own strength. Therefore they all met together to try to please the Supersoul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, by worshipping him. 21. The demigod said, the three worlds are created by the five elements, namely ether, air, fire, water, and earth, which are controlled by various demigods beginning from Lord Brahma. Being very much afraid that the time factor will end our existence, we offer presentations unto time by performing our work as time dictates. The time factor himself, however, is afraid of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, let us now worship that Supreme Lord, who alone can give us full protection. 22. Free from all material conceptions of existence and never wonder-struck by anything, the Lord is always jubilant and fully satisfied by his own spiritual perfection. He has no material designations, and therefore he is steady and unattached. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only shelter of everyone. Anyone desiring to be protected by others is certainly a great fool who desires to cross the sea by holding the tail of a dog. Good example. 23. The Manu named King Satyavrata formerly saved himself by tying the small boat of the entire world to the horn of the Matsya Avatar, the fish incarnation. By the grace of the Matsya Avatar, Manu saved himself from the great danger of the flood. May that same fish incarnation save us from the great and fearful anger caused by the son of Twashta. Right. Verse 24. In the beginning of creation, a tremendous wind caused fierce waves of inundating water. The great waves made such a horrible sound that Lord Brahma almost fell from his seat on the lotus into the water of devastation, but he was saved with the help of the Lord. Thus we also expect the Lord to protect us from this dangerous condition. Verse 25, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who created us by his external potency, and by whose mercy we expand the creation of the universe, is always situated before us as the Supersoul, but we cannot see his form. We are unable to see him because all of us think that we're separate and independent gods. Verses 26 and 27. By his inconceivable internal potency, the Supreme Personality of Godhead expands into various transcendental bodies as Vamanadev, the incarnation of strength among the demigods, Parasuram, the incarnation among saints, Nrsingadev and Varaha, incarnations among animals, and Matsya and Kurama, incarnations among aquatics. He accepts various transcendental bodies among all types of living entities, and among human beings he especially appears as Lord Krishna and Lord Ram. By his causeless mercy, he protects the demigods who are always harassed by the demons. He is the supreme worshipable deity of all living entities. He is the supreme cause, represented as the male and female creative energies. Although different from this universe, he exists in his universal form, the Virat Rupa. In our fearful condition, let us take shelter of him, for we are sure that the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Soul, will give us his protection. Yes, okay, so back we go. The demigods pray to the Lord, verse 20 to 27. Verse 20, struck with wonder and disappointment upon seeing the strength of the demon, the demigods lost their own strength. Therefore they all met together to try to please the Supersoul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, by worshipping him. There's no purport there, so on to verse 21. The demigod said, the three worlds are created by the five elements, namely ether, air, fire, water, and earth, which are controlled by various demigods, beginning from Lord Brahma. Being very much afraid that the time factor will end our existence, we offer presentations unto time by performing our work as time dictates. The time factor himself, however, is afraid of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, let us now worship that Supreme Lord, who alone can give us full protection. So there's a short purport here. Prabhupada makes the point, when we're afraid of being killed, we must take shelter of the Lord. And the words bibeti yasmat, they indicate that all the demons fear the Supreme Lord. So the demigods, being afraid of death, prayed to him as follows. Well, anyway, Srila Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, although the time factor is fearful to everyone, fear personified is afraid of the Supreme Lord, who is therefore known as Abhaya, fearless. Taking shelter of the Supreme Lord brings actual fearlessness, and therefore the demigods decided to take shelter of the Lord. Verse 22, free from all material conceptions of existence, and never wonder-struck by anything, the Supreme Lord is always jubilant and fully satisfied by his own spiritual perfection. He has no material designations, and therefore he is steady and unattached. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only shelter of everyone. Anyone desiring to be protected by others is certainly a great fool who desires to cross the sea by holding the tail of a dog. Yes, it's obviously a ridiculous proposition, even if it's a big dog, to cross the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean, or just the Indian Ocean. It's just completely ridiculous, holding the tail of anything. So anyway, Prabhupada comments that a dog can swim. But if you think you can hold his tail and he'll take you across the ocean, Prabhupada says, you are fool number one. There you go, devotees. Similarly, we shouldn't take shelter of demigods to cross the ocean of nescience. So, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-58 says, Samashrita ye padapalava plavam, mahatpadam punya yasho marare, bhavam buddhir vatsa padam param padam, padam padam yad vipadam natesham. The Lord, which means the Lord's lotus feet are an indestructible boat. And if one takes shelter of that boat, he can easily cross the ocean of nescience. Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, consequently, there are no dangers for a devotee, although he lives within this material world, which is full of dangers at every step. One should seek the shelter of the all-powerful instead of trying to be protected by one's own concocted ideas. Verse 23. The Manu named King Satyavrata formerly saved himself by tying the small boat of the entire world to the horn of the Matsya Avatar, the fish incarnation. By the grace of the Matsya Avatar, Manu saved himself from the great danger of the flood. May that same fish incarnation save us from the great and fearful danger caused by the son of Twashta. Verse 24, in the beginning of creation, a tremendous wind caused fierce waves of inundating water. The great waves made such a horrible sound that Lord Brahma almost fell from his seat on the lotus into the water of devastation, but he was saved with the help of the Lord. Thus we also expect the Lord to protect us from this dangerous condition. 25. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who created us by his external energy, and by whose mercy we expand the creation of the universe, so that Supreme Lord is always situated before us as the Supersoul, but we cannot see his form. We are unable to see him because all of us think that we're separate and independent gods. Yes, so Prabhupada's purport. This is the explanation of why the conditioned souls cannot see the Lord face to face. Even when he appears as Krishna or Ram, the conditioned souls can't understand him. Avajananti mam muta manushim tanam asrita. That's from Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 verse 11. The rascals, the mudhas, deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking him an ordinary human being. No matter how significant we are, we think we're God, that we can create the universe. This is why we can't see or understand the Lord. So Madhvacharya says, I'll just read the translation, we're all conditioned to various degrees, but we think that we are God. This is why we cannot understand who God is or see him face to face. Verses 26 and 27. By his inconceivable internal potency, the Supreme Personality of Godhead expands into various transcendental bodies, as Vamanadev, the incarnation of strength amongst the demigods, Parshuram, the incarnation among saints, Nrsingadev and Varaha, incarnations among animals, and Matsya and Kurma, incarnations among aquatics. He accepts various transcendental bodies among all types of living entities, and among human beings he especially appears as Lord Krishna and Lord Ram. By his causeless mercy, he protects the demigods, who are always harassed by the demons. He is the supreme worshipable God of all living entities. He is the supreme cause, represented as the male and female creative energies. Although different from this universe, he exists in his universal form, his Virat Rupa. In our fearful condition, let us take shelter of him, for we are sure that the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Soul, will give us protection. Okay, so purport. Here, Lord Vishnu is ascertained to be the cause of creation. Sridhar Swami, the great commentator, in his commentary, replies to the idea that Prakriti and Purusha are causes of cosmic manifestation. And it's stated here, Param Pradhanam Purusham Vishvamanyam. He is the supreme cause, represented as the male and female creative energies. Although different from this universe, he exists in his universal form, Virat Rupa. So Prabhupada explains the word Prakriti, which is used to indicate the source of generation, refers to the material energy. Purusha refers to the living entities who are superior energy. They're eternal persons. Both ultimately enter into the Lord. Second paragraph. So Prabhupada makes the point that although Prakriti and Purusha superficially appear to be the causes of this world, actually they're emanations from the Lord's energies. So the Lord is the cause of Prakriti and Purusha. He is the original cause. Prabhupada refers to the Naradiya Purana. I'll just read the little excerpt. Both the Prakriti and Purusha, which are inferior and superior energies, are emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 verse 13 explains that the Lord enters Prakriti, then it creates different manifestations. So in other words, it's not independent. The Lord is the original cause of everything. As he says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10 verse 8, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.33 says, Ahame vasam eva gre, only I existed before the creation. So the Brahmanda Purana confirms this as follows. And again, I won't read the Sanskrit, but the translation: to generate the universe, the Lord acts indirectly as the Purusha, and the Lord acts indirectly as the Purusha and directly as the Prakriti, because both energies emanate from Lord Vasudeva, the all-pervasive Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is known as both Prakriti and Purusha. Therefore, Vasudeva is the cause of everything. Sarva Karana Karanam. So, okay, fifth section, from verse 28 to verse 30, the Lord appears to the demigods. Right. So there's just a little bit of a purport for one of the verses, so we'll just read through again. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, "My dear king, when all the demigods offered them their prayers, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari, carrying his weapons, the conch shell, disc, and club, he appeared first within their hearts and then before them." Right, devotees. So here we go. Verses 29 and 30 are together. This is the translation. Surrounding and serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan were 16 personal attendants, decorated with ornaments and appearing exactly like him, but without the mark of Srivatsa and the Kaustubha jewel. O king, when all the demigods saw the Supreme Lord in that posture, smiling with eyes like the petals of lotuses grown in autumn, they were overwhelmed with happiness and immediately fell down like rods, offering dandavats. Then they slowly rose and pleased the Lord by offering him prayers. So there's very short purport here. It's just a couple of sentences, so we'll just read straight through. In Vaikuntha Loka, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has 4 hands and decorations like the Srivatsa mark on his chest and the gem known as Kaustubha. These are special indications of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord's personal attendants and other devotees in Vaikuntha have the same features, except for the Srivatsa mark and the Kaustubha gem. Yes, so on we go, devotees, to section number 6, from verse 31 to verse 45. And let's first of all go through the whole section and just read the translations of the verses. 31. The demigod said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are competent to give the results of sacrifice, and you're also the time factor that destroys all such results in due course. You are the one who releases the chakra to kill the demons. O Lord, who possess many varieties of names, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Verse 32, O Supreme Controller, you control the three destinations: promotion to the heavenly planets, birth as a human being, and condemnation in hell. Yet your supreme abode is Vaikuntha, Vaikuntha Dham. Since we appeared after you created this cosmic manifestation, your activities are impossible for us to understand. We therefore have nothing to offer you but our humble obeisances. 33. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Narayan, O Vasudeva, original person, O most exalted person, supreme experience, welfare personified. O Supreme Benediction, supremely merciful and changeless, O support of the cosmic manifestation, sole proprietor of all planetary systems, master of everything, and husband of the goddess of fortune. Your lordship is realized by the topmost sannyasis who wander about the world to preach Krishna consciousness, fully absorbed in samadhi through bhakti yoga. Because their minds are concentrated upon you, they can receive the conception of your personality in their fully purified hearts. When the darkness in their hearts is completely eradicated and you are revealed to them, the transcendental bliss they enjoy is the transcendental form of your lordship. No one but such persons can realize you. Therefore, we simply offer you our respectful obeisances. Verse 34. O Lord, you need no support, and although you have no material body, you do not need cooperation from us. Since you are the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and you supply its material ingredients without being transformed, you create, maintain, and annihilate this cosmic manifestation by yourself. Nevertheless, although you appear engaged in material activity, you are transcendental to all material qualities. Consequently, these transcendental activities of yours are extremely difficult to understand. Verse 35. These are our inquiries. The ordinary conditioned soul is subject to the material laws, and he thus receives the fruits of his actions. Does your lordship, like an ordinary human being, exist within this material world in a body produced by the material modes? That's a question. Do you have a material body? Do you enjoy or suffer the good or bad results of actions under the influence of time, past work, and so forth? Or on the contrary, are you present here only as a neutral witness who is self-sufficient, free from all material desires, and always full of spiritual potency? We certainly cannot understand your actual position. Right, okay. So verse 36, translation. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all contradictions can be reconciled in you. O Lord, since you are the Supreme Person, the reservoir of unlimited spiritual qualities, the Supreme Controller, your unlimited glories are inconceivable to the conditioned souls. Many modern theologians argue about right and wrong without knowing what is actually right. Their arguments are always false and their judgments inconclusive, because they have no authorized evidence with which to gain knowledge of you, because their minds are agitated by scriptures containing false conclusions. They are unable to understand the truth concerning you. Furthermore, because of polluted eagerness to arrive at the right conclusion, their theories are incapable of revealing you, who are transcendental to their material conceptions. You are one without a second, and therefore in you contradictions like doing and not doing, happiness and distress are not contradictory. Your potency is so great that it can do and undo anything as you like. With the help of that potency, what is impossible for you? Since there is no duality in your constitutional position, you can do everything by the influence of your energy. Verse 37. A rope causes fear for a bewildered person who considers it a snake, but not for a person with proper intelligence who knows it to be only a rope. Similarly, you, as the supersoul in everyone's heart, inspire fear or fearlessness according to one's intelligence, but in you there is no duality. 38. With deliberation, one will see that the Supreme Soul, although manifested in different ways, is actually the basic principle of everything. The total material energy is the cause of the material manifestation, but the material energy is caused by him. Therefore, he is the cause of all causes, the manifester of intelligence and the senses. He is perceived as the supersoul of everything. Without him, everything would be dead. You, as that supersoul, the supreme controller, are the only one remaining. Verse 39. Therefore, O killer of the Madhu demon, incessant transcendental bliss flows in the minds of those who have even once tasted but a drop of the nectar from the ocean of your glories. Such exalted devotees forget the tiny reflection of so-called material happiness produced from the material senses of sight and sound. Free from all desires, such devotees are the real friends of all living entities. Offering their minds unto you and enjoying transcendental bliss, they are expert in achieving the real goal of life. O Lord, you are the sole and dear friend of such devotees who never need return to this material world. How could they give up engagement in your devotional service? Verse 40. O Lord, O personified three worlds, Father of the three worlds, O strength of the three worlds, in the form of the Vamana incarnation, O three-eyed form of Nrsingadev, O most beautiful person within the three worlds, everything and everyone, including human beings, and even the Daitya demons and the Danavas, is but an expansion of your energy. O supremely powerful one, you've always appeared in your forms as the various incarnations to punish the demons as soon as they become very powerful. You appear as Lord Vamanadev, Lord Ram, and Lord Krishna. You appear sometimes as an animal like Lord Boar, sometimes a mixed incarnation like Lord Nrsingadev and Lord Hayagriva, and sometimes an aquatic like Lord Fish and Lord Tortoise. Assuming such various forms, you've always punished the demons and Danavas. We therefore pray that your Lordship appear today as another incarnation, if you so desire, to kill the great demon Vritrasura. Verse 41. O Supreme Protector, O Grandfather, O Supreme Pure, O Lord. We are all surrendered souls at your lotus feet. Indeed, our minds are bound to your lotus feet in meditation by chains of love. Now, please manifest your incarnation, accepting us as your own eternal servants and devotees. Be pleased with us and sympathetic toward us. By your love-filled glance, with its cool and pleasing smile of sympathy, and by the sweet nectarian words emanating from your beautiful face, free us from the anxiety caused by this Vritrasura, who always pains the cause of our hearts. Verse 42, O Lord, as the small sparks of a fire cannot possibly perform the actions of the whole fire, we sparks of your Lordship cannot inform you of the necessities of our lives. You are the complete whole. Therefore, of what do we need to inform you? You know everything, because you're the original cause of the cosmic manifestation, the maintainer and the annihilator of the entire universal creation. You always engage in your pastimes with your spiritual and material energies, for you are the controller of all these varied energies. You exist within all living entities, within the cosmic manifestation, and also beyond them. You exist internally as Parabrahman, and externally as the ingredients of the material creation. Therefore, although manifested in various stages, at different times and places, and in various bodies, you, the personality of Godhead, are the original cause of all causes. Indeed, you are the original element. You are the witness of all activities, but because you're as great as the sky, you are never touched by any of them. You are the witness of everything as Parabrahman and Paramatma. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, nothing is unknown to you. Verse 43. Dear Lord, you are omniscient, and therefore you know very well why we've taken shelter at your lotus feet, which provides shade that gives relief from all material disturbances. Since you are the Supreme Spiritual Master and you know everything, we have sought shelter of your lotus feet for instruction. Please give us relief by counteracting our present distress. Your lotus feet are the only shelter for a fully surrendered devotee and are the only means for subduing all the tribulations of this material world. Verse 44, Therefore, O Lord, O Supreme Controller, O Lord Krishna, please annihilate this dangerous demon Vritrasura, Twashta's son, who has already swallowed all our weapons, our paraphernalia for fighting, and our strength and influence. Verse 45, O Lord, O Supreme Pure, you live within the core of everyone's heart and observe all the desires and activities of the conditioned souls. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Lord Krishna, your reputation is bright and illuminating. You have no beginning, for you are the beginning of everything. This is understood by pure devotees because you're easily accessible to the pure and truthful. When the conditioned souls are liberated and sheltered at your lotus feet, after roving throughout the material world for many millions of years, they attain the highest success of life. Therefore, O Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, we offer our respectful obeisances at your lotus feet. Right, devotees, so back we go to the beginning of the section, verse 31. and we will go through the whole section, verse 31 to verse 45, titled "The Demigods Pray Further to the Lord." We'll go through all the verses with their purports. Verse 31, the demigods said, "O Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are competent to give the results of sacrifice, and you're also the time factor that destroys all such results in due course. You are the one who releases the chakra to kill the demons. O Lord, who possess many varieties of names, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you." So there's no purport to verse 31. We go on to verse 32. "O Supreme Controller, you control the three destinations: promotion to the heavenly planets, birth as a human being, and condemnation in hell. Yet your supreme abode is Vaikuntadam. Since we appeared after you created this cosmic manifestation, your activities are impossible for us to understand. We therefore have nothing to offer you but our humble obeisances." Yes, so let's look at the purport. It's a pretty short purport. Prabhupada makes the point that inexperienced persons, they don't know what to beg from the Lord. So usually they beg wrong things. Prabhupada says generally they pray to go to higher planets, as they have no information about Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. So Prabhupada refers to Madhvacharya, who quotes a particular verse, "Devalokat Pitrilokat Nirayach Chapiyat Param Tisrabhya Paramam Stanam Vaishnavam Vidusham Gati," and which means there are different planetary systems known as Devaloka, the planets of the demigods, Pitriloka, the planet of the Pitas, and Niraya, the hellish planets. When one transcends these various planetary systems and enters Vaikuntha Loka, he achieves the ultimate resort of the Vaishnavas. So Srila Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, Vaishnavas have nothing to do with the other planetary systems. Right, so verse 33. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Narayan, O Vasudev, Original Person, O Most Exalted Person, Supreme Experience, Welfare Personified, O Supreme Benediction, supremely merciful and changeless, O Support of the Cosmic Manifestation, Sole Proprietor of all planetary systems, Master of everything, and husband of the Goddess of Fortune. Your Lordship is realized by the topmost sannyasis who wander about the world to preach Krishna consciousness, fully absorbed in samadhi through bhakti yoga. Because their minds are concentrated upon you, they can receive the conception of your personality in their fully purified hearts. When the darkness in their hearts is completely eradicated and you are revealed to them, the transcendental bliss they enjoy is the transcendental form of your Lordship. No one but such persons can realize you. Therefore, we simply offer you our respectful obeisances. Yes, so purport. Prabhupada makes the point that the Lord has so many names, and they are relating to different grounds, different grades of revelation to different grades of devotees. And then Prabhupada elaborates on that when he reveals himself in his impersonal form to the impersonalists, he's called the Supreme Brahman. But when he's realized as the Paramatma by the yogis, he's called Antaryami. But then when he expands himself in different forms for material creation, he's called Kshiradakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Karanadakshaya Vishnu. But then when he's realized as Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, the Chaturvyuha, who are beyond the three forms of Vishnu, then he is the Vaikuntha Narayan, and he's realized like that, and he's known by that name. But then, above realization of Narayan is realization of Lord Baladev. And above that is realization of Lord Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada concludes the purport by saying, all these realizations are possible when one engages fully in devotional service. The covered core of one's heart is then completely open to receiving an understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his various forms. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.